Yes, as the great Elton John once said, Saturday night is all right for fighting, and we're going to get it tonight in Las Vegas. Noche UFC, we get a world title fight, and we don't have to spend $80 for it. The rematch from one of the big upsets. The beginning of the upset train began in March with Alexa Grasso submitting Valentina Shevchenko, ending an incredibly long reign. Now, Alexa Grasso is the champion. Valentina Shevchenko chasing the title this time. It's all going down later on tonight at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We're not even in the Apex tonight. That's how big this card is. It's going to be fun. We have Kevin Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena, Rosas Jr., some very interesting prospects on the card. We got some stakes in some of these fights. Could get some squash matches, but I think all in all, it's going to be a fun night of fights. Thank you for joining us for the People's Free Fight Show. I am Mike Heck. Joining me as always, maybe he'll spin the chair, maybe he won't. It just depends on what kind of mood he's in. He didn't spin the chair last week, and we got Sean Strickland winning the middleweight title. So what's he going to do, Casey Leydon? Let's see. Oh, a big spin.
Dos. Tres. Tres spins. I don't know how to say spin in Spanish.
Three-spin card. All right.
I like this card. I am excited about this card. Whoa.
I think I like your rating system the best. I like your rating system the best. The Michelin scale and the gymnastics rating. The chair spin rating is much more fun. Is it not?
Yeah, I love it. You guys, I love it. Get dizzy, cheap high. We're good.
Yes. So now we're gonna answer your questions. So throw them in the chat. We'll pull them up. We'll discuss, and as soon as the fights begin, we'll tell you, and then we'll be done.
All right. Okay.
So let's do this.
Let's do it.
How is everyone having a great Saturday? Yes,
How's your Saturday been?
It's been good. It's been good. Went and got my oil change. I did adult things today. Ran a lot of errands. It was one of those days. Got some Dunkin' Donuts. Went to the grocery store. It was just one of those kind of days. But in South Carolina, this is the time where all the the really super hot summer weather starts to fade away. So it was I walked outside this morning. It's 63 degrees. It was perfect. The weather's starting to get perfect now. So yeah, it's been a pretty good Saturday. What about you? You having a good Saturday?
Good Saturday. Had a nice breakfast. Got some training in. Got a little kickboxing in. Did a little mixed martial arts sparring. Got my little pre-fight nap in, and I'm here. I got my my Los Crudos shirt. Now celebrating Mexican independence. I'm about to open up my can of Celsius because I got energized for the fights. So I am excited. All right, I'm not even. Oh, I didn't get sponsored. Arctic Freeze.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. Last week was not excited about the card. Turned out to be a decent card. We've had a legendary upset. But this card looks great on paper. This card looks really good. What the UFC originally wanted, and so I'm not gonna take that. I'm not gonna take that away from the UFC. The original card that they had, minus the if the injuries didn't happen, was fantastic. But this card is solid, and I wish all fight nights were this level, were 3 spins. But it's a good card. It's a good card. I'm very excited about this rematch.
Yes.
All right. What do? I had the question. There we go.
Can be general MMA questions too. Thoughts on Kevin Holland's media day outburst when asked about his title aspirations? Is that a good mindset to have as a contender? What did you think about that whole thing? I talked a little bit about it on Heck of a Morning. I'll talk a little bit more in a second. But what did you think when Kevin just started firing back at the reporter?
What he said? I remember how we answered it, but what was the question? Was the question kind of was a setup question? Was the question kind of coming from a bad place? What was the question exactly?
No, it was the original question was about, do you feel like you like a win get you into title contention or something like that? Like, do you feel like you're on a run to the title at 170? And he's just like, no, I don't really care about the belt. I just want to fight and make money. And then the follow-up question was, well, why don't you care about the belt? And then he was like, well, why do you care about the belt? Because I just said I don't care about the belt. So why are you asking me if I care about the belt when I just told you I didn't? So that's basically what it was all about.
Yeah. Is it a good mindset for a contender? It's a good mindset for Kevin Holland. If that's what Kevin Holland, I don't know. It's like, now, if he would have said, well, yeah, I want the belt because that brings the biggest paychecks, but the question really wasn't set up like that. So yeah, he should be going for the belt because he'll get bigger money fights. So in that sense, yeah. But if his idea is just to get out there, make his paycheck, get his 2 checks, and get out of there, that's fine. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't put too much thought into it. I don't know. What do you think?
So,
Kevin Holland too.
Dude, Kevin Holland. I've been interviewing Kevin Holland since well before he was in the UFC. So I've talked to this guy for a long time. Talked to him when he first got into the UFC. Early what the heck's Kevin Holland was like one of the first people that I brought on because I wanted people to really see what he was all about. And this is the beginning. This is heading into and I remember the first time I talked to him when I started with MMA fighting, it was about his fight getting canceled because he was supposed to fight in London and his fight got canceled because the whole event got canceled because it was the beginning of COVID. And his response was, I don't care. I'm just going to buy shoes and maybe buy a car. And I was like, well, what are you going to do with the rest of your money? He goes, I don't really care because fights are going to happen. I'm just going to fight 5 or 6 times this year. I'm going to fight like all the time. And he, like, from all the times that I've talked to him, never once has he said, I want to be a world champion. It's always been, I want to just fight all the time and just make money because I like fighting and I like money. And if I fight a lot, then I will become a star and I will make that money. And guess what? He was absolutely right. Goes 5-0 in 2020, gets a couple of main event spots, fell into them and lost them, but it hasn't really hurt him at all. Kevin's been a company guy, stepped up when he's been needed, steps in on short notice. He fought Khamzat Chimaev on a day's notice. That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
He's making he's making really good money anyways. I'm trying to see because what did he make? So he made for the win over Michael Chiesa. And I honestly think this number is more. These are the disclosed payouts. And this is the one that was kind of up in the air with Salt Lake City, with Utah, because you had the option as a fighter whether or not you wanted to disclose it or not. And only like four fighters did. Kevin Holland's disclosed pay for 291 was $356,000.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's almost title challenger money right there that he's already making.
For UFC money, that's not bad. I don't want to get into the whole, well, if he was boxing.
I bet he's making more. I bet he's making more than that.
Yeah. So,
he's doing fine. He did everything he said he was going to do. If he falls into a title shot, he's not going to say no, but he doesn't care. There's certain fighters that don't, like, none of this matters. I think Kevin's one of them. Kevin, Derek Lewis, there's maybe like 1 or 2 other guys where like rankings don't matter. Titles don't matter. Title runs don't matter. They just want to see Kevin fight and they want to see Kevin on a microphone. Doesn't matter who he fights. They're just excited to see him. Same with Derek Lewis. He's in that same sort of position where they're both making really good money. They're both stars as far as MMA goes. And they're happy. They don't need to put that extra pressure on themselves. But if they're offered title fights, of course they're not going to say no to that. But they're not like gunning for titles. And
if they're offered title fights, those guys are probably smart enough to know. Well, yeah, let's throw a zero in that check. Yeah. Yeah. So as long as excuse me, as long as Kevin Holland feels like he's getting paid what he is worth, then I don't have an issue. I mean, whatever. Yeah. Cool. All right. Oh, this is kind of a throwback question.
Do you guys think that Yair versus Stevens controversial fight ending and the Mexican crowd reaction by throwing stuff is where the UFC decided not to return to Mexico? No.
No.
To like, and all like, if you're a UFC fan, like the UFC, that whole situation probably like makes the UFC want to go again, if not like do it bigger. Because I mean, the things that came out after that, like, yep, poor Brendan Fitzgerald just hiding under the table as stuff is getting flying. I'm like, obviously you don't want to see that, but it was an unfortunate thing. But I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think if you go on any ticket website that is selling UFC tickets right now and you see the prices for those UFC tickets, I think that is a big part of this, because they will eventually go there. But I mean, there are some people who are going to spend $900 to sit in the balcony, but for the most part, you're probably not going to get a sellout. You're probably not going to sell 15,000 tickets at those prices.
And
So I think that's a big part of it, honestly.
Even more importantly, UFC is all about making money. Why was the UFC in Utah? Why was the UFC in Sydney? Because they got paid
to
be
them.
there. They're paid.
Yep.
Is the Mexico City Tourism Board paying the UFC to come down there? Is the Guadalajara Tourism Board paying UFC? That's what the UFC is in such a powerful position right now, that you pay them to come to your city to make money. So follow the money. Yeah, that's all.
For the most part. It's not always like that, but for the most part.
But
like Boston didn't pay them to come to Boston. They just went.
Boston's a little different, but Salt Lake City, traditionally not a fight town.
Oh, yeah.
UFC's been there plenty of times, you know?
Houston did the same thing.
Yeah, Houston. Yeah, traditionally not like a big... I mean, there's fights there. Of course, Houston's a giant town. But if you're going to pay the UFC millions of dollars, that's why UFC hasn't gone to Hawaii yet. They don't get paid to go to Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, and it costs a lot of money to go there. And they don't want to do the Bladesdell Center, which is, by the way, getting revamped now. They want to do a place where they could sell like 35,000 tickets. That's where they would want to do it. And essentially, at least this is what Dana's essentially said for a while, is that they would have to like build their own arena almost in order to get this done. But they don't need to go there.
And they want someone else to pay for it. And Bellator got to reap the rewards for that, because they got there plenty of times. They've had great shows in Hawaii, so that's all.
Yeah, this is why they go to Abu Dhabi every year. It's exactly why.
Abu Dhabi's the most obvious.
Abu Dhabi gets a big card.
That's the most obvious one, actually.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
That's the big one. No,
it was so obvious.
That's a big part of it. Yeah, I think ticket prices are a big part of it. There's a lot that goes into it. I do think they'll get there eventually. I don't know if they'll get there in 2024, but I don't know. They kind of missed the boat with this whole thing, but
they never made it to Africa. They never got to use. They had 3 African champions, and we never made it to Africa. So
yeah,
and you're asking about Mexico. They had 3 Mexican champions. They didn't make it to Mexico yet. So
yeah.
Well, since the championships, yeah. So yeah, it's a bummer, but UFC is about making more money, and now that they're on the New York Stock Exchange, they got to make those shareholders happy, you know?
Yep.
All right.
Tracy Cortez hype prospect check-in. What's your take on her ceiling? So what do you think, Casey? How high are you on Tracy Cortez, or is tonight going to be the big test for you to see if this is a potential top 5 type of contender, or just this isn't a bad thing. Just she'll be a borderline top 10, top 15 fighter, and that's it. So do you know what her ceiling is yet, or do you need to see what happens in this fight with Jasmine Jasudavicius before you can judge?
I don't think we know what her ceiling is exactly, but I feel we're pretty close. We're like, if it's a 3-story building, we're 2.5 floors up. I don't know what that means, but like we're not. There's not gonna be a reinvention of Tracy Cortez. Personally, I think at her best, she might crack the top 10. I never really saw her as a title contender, but I didn't really see Yasmin as a title contender either. But one of them are gonna be moving closer to it, I think actually I think Yasmin say it one more time. I can't.
Jazz Delicious.
Jazzy Delicious. I'm actually a higher prospect on her now based on her last fight that she had with Miranda Maverick than I am of Tracy Cortez. So I am picking Jazzy. Jeez. JJ. The new JJ. Yes, Jazzy. Oh God, I cannot say that. Say it again.
It's Jazz. She like sounded it out for me one of the first times I interviewed her. Like after I think she was 1-0 as a pro. It's she's like it's Jazzu Delicious, but you have to say it really fast, like Jazz Delicious. It's almost like the U doesn't exist.
Jazz. Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I mess it up.
Jazzu Delicious, and then you just go Jazzu Delicious. Jazz Delicious. You just do it really fast.
I'm just gonna mumble and just act like I said it perfect. Jazzy, you know.
Do you ever watch Friends? Do you ever watch Friends when Phoebe's trying to teach Joey how to speak French and she does like one step at a time and he nails it? And then she goes for the full word and he's like, blah, 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 blah. It's like you are trying to pronounce Jazz's name. I like Tracy as a fighter. I think she's good. Like, I think there's something there. I haven't been completely sold on her yet. Like, I'm not ready to jump over that line just yet. And the big reason why is that I just haven't seen enough of her. She's been in the UFC. She got when did she get signed? 2019 is when she got the contract on Contender Series. She beat Maria Gapova. There's a great story. They really wanted her in. Like they built her up about.
That's a good victory.
With everything. It was a good win. Since then, one fight in 2019, one fight in 2020, one fight in 2021. Guess how many times she fought in 2022?
2022? Oh, once, yeah.
One. She's fought once a year. So right when we get excited about her, we don't see her for a year. So like that's been the big thing is we've seen, this is Jazzy Delicious' 5th UFC fight. They both had 4 fights in the UFC and Jasmine did it in like a year and a half. That's the thing. We're more familiar with her. There's some fans, like some of the newer post-pandemic fans who maybe this might be the first time they've seen Tracy fight. So I think they have something with both of these women too, because Canada needs a star that they could really get behind. I think Mike Malot's going to be one of those guys if he can keep getting wins, but I think Jasmine's like someone they could really get behind. And just from a promotional standpoint, Tracy's got a great story. She's good on the mic. Let's be honest, I'm a married man. She ain't bad to look at, if we're being honest. And she could scrap her ass off. Like, she can be a star. Like, I think there is star potential here, but it's just not going to happen fighting once a year. It just isn't. So, I don't know. Hopefully, this is the beginning of a more active Tracy Cortez where she's fighting 2-3 times a year. And then we can really see how good she is. And we have to, like, even after all this time, she's only 29. She's still only 29. So she's still not in her athletic prime yet. So maybe the best is yet to come. So I'm so interested in this fight. Very, very interested.
I'm bummed this fight is so low in the card, but there seems to be a lot of interest in this card. In this fight. So I think I don't know why UFC has it so low in the card, but
it's kind of a bummer.
I don't get it. But but I think regardless of who wins or loses, I don't think we're gonna like toss out the prospect or like we're never gonna see them fight at the top level again no matter who loses. I think it's two women fighting right now who are on a it's hard to tell if Tracy's on a good roll right now outside of her win streak because she fights so infrequently, but I like the matchup. That's all. I want to see it.
So here's also what's kind of interesting about Tracy.
I just don't know what to expect from Tracy Cortez, to be honest. I just don't know.
Her first 2 fights in the UFC were at 135. Like planned.
Oh, planned, huh?
Because she came in as a bantamweight and she kept winning. She was getting fights and getting wins at bantamweight. And then she's like, all right, well, I think I'm a better flyweight. And it was like kind of a thing of whether or not she was actually going to go ahead and cut the weight and drop to 25. And after a conversation with her team, she ended up doing it. And her last 2 fights have been at 125. I believe the Gatto fight was also 25.
Was she we're
at 125. So
that's weird. Yeah. Because she fought when she defeated Aaron Blanchfield in Invicta, it was at flyweight. So coming into the UFC, she was a flyweight. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that she actually.
Yeah, her first 2 fights were at 135, and she was winning. And she was, I don't know if she's ranked or she's like very close to being ranked. I think she was ranked at 135 before she ended up making the drop because she went 2-0, and because even if she loses, like, dude, she could go back up to one. If she loses, she can go back up to 135. She wins one fight, she might get a title shot in that friggin' division. So it's crazy.
I'm kind of shocked more 25ers aren't going up to 35 just for that because like they're so like.
I know.
You're right there. Yeah, it's just and then if it doesn't work out, just cut the weight and come back down. Weird.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, you know what? All right, let's see this.
Ooh. If Valentina loses, what's the percentage of her retiring? Are you over 50%? Or are you under 50%?
I'm way under. I don't.
Me too.
I'm way under. How old is Valentina? So Valentina, she's 35, and we know that's a bad age for challengers coming as in a championship fight. In my mind, coming off 2 straight losses, I realized she got the Santos win, but I felt it was a loss. But regardless, I think this could be her last fight at 25, though, if she loses. I'm kind of with Jed on that. Because what we just talked about.
Yeah. I mean, even if she wins, she could go up to 35, and I don't hate that idea. I don't know. I don't think she retires. I'll say 17% that she retires. I'm not completely ruling it out, but I'd be shocked. Unless she just gets housed tonight. If Alexa just 10-8s her, and then puts her away, then maybe that percentage goes up, but I just don't think that's going to happen in this fight. I think it's going to be a very close one. So, yeah, 17% on retirement for Valentina.
That would be interesting. It would be I'm trying to think. How old is Izzy? Izzy's not 35,
34.
right? Izzy's 34. I'm trying to think of champions who've been at this, and maybe they're not the best anymore, but they're like, no matter what happens, Shevchenko's, even if she gets run over tonight, loses to Grasso, she's still going to be a top 5 flyweight no matter what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just going to be what her mindset is, and I guess what her bank account.
Jose Aldo-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like,
she could still, at any given day, she could go in there and fight most people in that division and beat them. But maybe she doesn't.
Maybe she doesn't.
You have to. There's we've been talking about this all week as well. There's just a lot of Valentina's maybe 34, 35, whatever. She's got she's been fighting MMA for 20 years. She's been fighting other shit for longer than that. She's got 130 fights. She's got mileage on her. She's 35 in age, but she's way older than that in fight years. But she's still pretty damn good.
Her first professional mixed martial arts match was in 2003. I think we did the math, and she was 16 or something like that.
Yeah, she was a youngster.
Yeah, and yeah.
All the kickboxing fights, all the Muay Thai fights. There's ones that you can find. There are ones that are in databases, and there's ones that there's probably 20 or 30 that we don't even know about that are on the list.
And in between all these fights, she's been like a secret agent or something, and a spy, or who knows.
Which wouldn't surprise me either.
We all know this whole fighting thing is just a cover for her secret agent or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Jazz Delicious.
Oh,
Jazz Delicious.
There you go.
Jasmine Jazz Delicious. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about this gentleman.
There you go. See, that'll help you pronounce it though.
Yeah, Jazz Delicious. Yeah.
where my son's got a science test on Monday, so I'm trying to remember stuff from like fourth grade that they're talking about waves, like sound waves and stuff. And one of the questions is like, what do they use to like communicate in water? And he couldn't pronounce it. So I'm like, this is how I remembered it. I was like, because I'm silly like this. I'm a silly goose, Grayson. You use sonar because you go so far underwater. It's like sonar, so far. And it's like he just started looking at me like I was a moron. But then like 90 minutes later, I was like, hey, what do they use to communicate underwater? He goes, they use sonar because they have to go so far. And I was like, you damn right you damn right they do. Damn right they do.
Dad of the year. Dad of the year.
I forgot like half the stuff. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I gotta get. Where's Mr. Wizard when you need him? When I was growing up, just turn on Mr. Wizard and get all the answers. Now you don't have any of that shit. Does Rosas Jr. really belong in the featured spot, in the featured bout spot? What do you think?
Well, I'm glad it's not co-main event. I think the spot is actually.
I think it's
co-main event would be a bit insulting to Kevin Holland. See, I am in big disagreement with. I think. Eric Jackman was on the BTL talking about, or no, it was a preview show, or talking about where he hates the whole BTL, where he hates talking about card placement, but I'm actually big on card placement. I think card placement is very important, but I think this is perfect because it's fight night, and yeah, it's the proper matchup, and that's what these fight nights should be for. It should be for Eric Jackman just chimed in. But these fight nights outside of like maybe the top two fights should be to build up prospects, and I think that's what they're doing, and this is the proper matchup for him. I like it.
I'm waiting for New York Rick's typing right now. Oh,
oh man,
he just goes, "Oh, we're talking card placement, Casey." Did you see what Bellator did with Bellator 300?
300? No, what's going on?
Okay, so they announced a whole bunch of other fights, and it's placed as like the 4 main card fights is like a quadruple main event.
Yeah, quadruple main event. Yes,
incredible.
Yes, I love it. I'm so happy when I saw that.
So much. And 301 just added AJ McKee versus Sidney Outlaw. Now we have 5 main events. We're gonna have 5 main events at Bellator 301. It's incredible. Now I think Rosas Jr. being in this spot is fine. Most of his I think all of his contender series / UFC fights were all in Mexico. He fights and trains in Vegas, lives in Vegas now. I think he's probably selling some tickets for this one. He was kind of the missing name throughout a lot of the build to this card. And then they finally got him. This is like a perfect matchup for him. He's probably there's still some buzz to this kid. Whether you want to see him win or you want to see him lose, there's buzz to him. There's more buzz to him than even Tracy Cortez and Jazzy Delicious right now. And there's way more on the line in that fight than Raul Rosas Jr. fighting Terrence Mitchell. But he's over. The UFC has pushed him into this spot. And even coming off of a loss, people want to see what he's going to do and how he can bounce back. And he's 18. And look, eventually he's not going to be 18 anymore. Eventually he's going to be 22 and 23, and he's not going to be in these spots. But as long as he's got the team, as long as he's 18 years old and he's marketed as the 18-year-old, they're going to keep putting him in these spots. He's going to be on pay-per-view main cards. He's going to be in featured spots and co-main events on Apex cards or in front of crowds. That's just what that's where they're going to put him. Yeah. They're going to try to build him up.
Now, I wish this third spot was maybe the Tracy Cortez fight or Jazzy Delicious. I wish it was that fight, but no issue with Rosas Jr. being that high on the card. So I wonder why people are other fans? Are they kind of are they upset? Everyone seems to be always kind of upset when the UFC actually actively promotes a prospect. Is that weird? I always feel like
it's different. It's I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. Yeah. People are mad that he was on the main card of UFC 287. That's when he lost to Christian Rodriguez, and Chris Curtis was fighting. Who was Chris Curtis fighting? Was that the Gastelum fight?
Is that the
No, who's he fighting? Was it that card?
Either way,
I don't know.
either way,
Whatever it was,
Chris
people
Curtis
thought
got
other
buffed down
fights
to
should
the
have been on the
prelims.
main
Yeah.
card. Yeah. And people were not happy about that, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's what the UFC does when they have a prospect. Bo Nickel, you think Bo Nickel's going to be on a prelim? No chance.
People forget that the UFC, they pretend that they're a league. They're not a league. They are a promotion. People always forget that they are a promotion. That means they promote fighters. They promote their fight cards, but they promote fighters. And the UFC has chosen to promote Rosas Jr. More than his opponent. So yeah, well, I'm not even sure. What's his opponent's name? I forget.
Terrence Mitchell.
Yeah, Terrence Mitchell. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it was the Gaslam fight. Chris Curtis Gaslam was on the prelims, and Rosas was on the main card.
Yeah, and you know what? And a lot of fans are like, "Oh, he's gonna get his butt kicked." It's like, cool. You're showing up. You're watching. You want to see this 18-year-old kid get his butt kicked. Then for the UFC, that's a win-win. You're gonna want as long as you care, that's all that matters for the UFC's perspective.
I think it's kind of the brashness of him too. Once he won the Contender Series, because I interviewed him right before he was on the Contender Series, and I was just like, man, this kid's super humble. Like, he's confident, but he's not like I think people are gonna like him. And then after that, it's like, I'll fight Aljamain Sterling tomorrow, win the bantamweight title. I was just like, wow, this is quick, dude. You are not messing around. And I think some of that, I'm the youngest champion. I'm going to win 2 belts, all this stuff, and all the things he was saying, they could kind of rub people the wrong way. Like, slow your roll a little bit. And when he lost, I think, and you know how it is in this sport, once you lose, especially when you say things that people don't agree with and think they're crazy, people can't wait to jump on you. So we'll see how he does tonight. This is an opportunity for him to shine. This is a really, really good matchup for him. He should go out there and handle business pretty easily tonight, but we'll see. Again, I'm wrong about everything. So go bet on Terrence Mitchell right now.
It will be interesting though if he loses though, and I guess how he loses too. So it'll be interesting how they handle that. So we'll see.
Yeah. Who's the best Mexican prospect on the come up? I really like Yasmin Uribe, even though she just lost. Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
It's gotta be Zellhuber, right? I'm super high on that kid.
He's way up there. Who am I missing? I know. Who's the? Is he? I'll go Zellhuber. Zellhuber? Yeah. Yeah. What's
he's super, super good.
Yeah, 6'1", but yeah, what's his last fight? Oh yeah, he whooped up on Lando. Yeah.
He lost his debut, and that he lost to Trey Ogden, which I like Trey a lot. Trey has paid his dues to eventually get his opportunity in the UFC, and Trey went in there and beat him. And I think he learned a lot in that fight. And Eric Nixick glowingly talks about him. Like, we'll talk on the record and off the record about Daniel. It's just really interesting because the way Nixick describes Daniel Zellhuber, it's like, he goes, imagine you woke up and you just walked out to get the newspaper in your driveway, and all of a sudden there's a brand new Lamborghini just sitting in your driveway, and you're like, wow, I got this Lamborghini in my driveway. I don't know how it got here, but it just suddenly ended up in my driveway. He goes, and then you have to, he goes, and if you don't know how to drive a standard or whatever, you have to learn how to drive the car. He goes, and that's kind of what Daniel Zellhuber is, because you see this shiny new thing and you're like, wow, this thing's awesome. But you have to learn how to mold it. You have to learn how to maneuver it. And that's kind of how he looks at Zellhuber from a coaching aspect, is that he's got to learn to figure out how to turn and when to push the buttons and when to go to the next gear, all these different things, because he's so young and he's so raw, but so talented. And he hasn't really been in these positions where Trey Ogden just kind of put him in quicksand a little bit and made him work a little bit harder. He hasn't been in that spot before. And now he's learning. You saw in the Lando fight, definite improvements being made. And now this is going to be a really big test for him coming off the Lando win. Can he go in there and just put a beating on Christos Giagos? Have you seen this dude's resume, Christos Giagos, since he's gotten the UFC? The guys he's had to fight. Want to know what his
No,
UFC debut was?
not who?
Look,
I gotta go way
uh,
back. Oh my man, he's been in the UFC for a while. Holy moly!
he's been in the UFC
Um,
for he's been in the
well,
UFC for how
no,
many?
he has a lot of UFC fights, more than I realized. Charles
So his
Oliveira.
first UFC fight ever was no.
Oh,
No. That was so he had 3 fights early.
we're good. Oh my god.
Gilbert
Okay.
Burns
He had a
was
gap.
his first UFC fight. Yeah. Then he lost to Chris Wade. Then he left, and then he came back and, hey, you're back in the UFC. Guess you have to fight. I don't know if you ever heard of this guy. He's not really that good. His name's Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
Then he gets Hirota. Damir Hadzovic at the time is a really good win. Gets the win there. Drakkar Klose is a super good guy. Carlton Minus, Sean Soriano. And then his last 2 losses, I don't know if you've heard of these 2 names. Thiago Moises and Arman freaking Sarukian. And now he gets a win over Ricky Glenn. They're like, hey, we're going to chuck you in there with like one of the most talented up-and-comers we've had in the UFC in the last like 5 years. There you go, Christos. All yours. Dude's fought everybody. He's fought a murderer's row of guys.
This would be his 13th fight in the UFC. That's
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. That really snuck up on me. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I'm just kind of shocked. I didn't know that. If you want to ask me how many times, I ask a fan how many times this guy's fought in the UFC, I would go, maybe 5-6 times. I'm only off by like 8 or so.
Yeah, I would have said like 8 or 9. I was like, there's no way he's got 10.
Yeah,
this
is gonna be his
12.
13th fight. Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
Here we go. Let's talk about where are we at in the broadcast?
I just turned it on because I realized it was 10
I
past, but my guess is that the first fight is not started yet, but it doesn't look like it has, so we're good.
All right, cool. Let's talk about the co-main event.
Yep, we're at the desk with Karen Bryant, Dean Thomas, and Anthony Smith. What does the win do for JDM? He's coming back after many of us, including myself, thought he lost his last outing. He didn't lose. He did not lose that fight.
He just didn't blow the guy out of the water like you were expecting.
I don't think he lost. Yeah, I don't think he lost that fight. I scored it for JDM and had no hesitation doing it, but I understand why there's cause for a little bit of pumping the brakes a little bit. What does a win do for JDM here, Casey? Does it kind of like solidify? Okay, guess that was just a bump in the road. The Basel fight.
Well, who beats Kevin Holland? Stephen Thompson, one of the best welterweights we've ever seen in the UFC. Multiple title fights. Shemaev, Vettori, Brunson.
Yeah, he's okay.
Wait.
That's Shemaev.
Yeah, Vettori top 10. Derek Brunson, perennial top 10 at a higher weight class. If you beat Kevin Holland, that means you are legit. That doesn't mean
Brandon Allen.
Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm not saying if Jack wins tonight, he's definitely gonna be fighting for the championship end of the year. But if he wins tonight, we'll be hearing his name for a long time. That's about it. He'll be.
He needs this way more. He needs this way more than Kevin Holland does. Way more.
Why do you say that?
Because Kevin doesn't care who he fights. Kevin will just fight. Kevin will go fight at middleweight next week, and it doesn't matter to him. But if JDM, with all the hype and everything that was around him, especially with the bad taste in everybody's mouths after the last win, and Ian Gary is where he's at right now, kind of like leapfrogging over him in terms of how people view prospects at 170 pounds, I think he needs this one more. I think because he's not like, I think people like fight fans, technical fight fans are like excited to watch this guy. But from like a casual audience perspective, like, I don't know if JDM could be like a star. I don't know if he could be like a big star for the company. I don't know if he's going to be as big as Kevin. You know what I mean? So I think to get the opportunities of where he wants to go. Yeah. And even Ian. Yeah. So just to kind of keep pace with what's going on, I think he really needs to win this one. And if Kevin Holland loses, they'll be like, all right, I'll just come back in 5 weeks and fight somebody else and win. And that's it. Nobody cares.
If you put it that way, I would say, Jack Della Madalena needs to win more. But if he loses, it's not the end of the world too. It's just like, okay, then we just, pump the brakes a bit. Like I say, he's only 27. He's not at it. I don't think he's at his mixed martial arts prime, regardless of what happens tonight. So it's a good fight, but I don't think it's a must-win for him. Obviously, no one wants to get knocked out, or that's never fun. But
yeah, I don't think it's a must-win, but it's at least you probably need this one, kid.
Yeah,
kind of a win.
I think it goes from, is JDM going to be a perennial top 10 guy, or is he a kind of, perennial top 20 guy, I guess. Like we'll see him around, but or is he going to be like, we're going to be seeing him on main cards and stuff, like we're going to, things like that. Like main cards, pay-per-views, and things.
It's a super interesting fight. Like I really like this fight. Sticks out like a sore thumb on this card in particular, but I still love it.
Yeah.
I still love it.
Was there a particular reason? I know it's probably been answered why this wasn't in Australia, why this wasn't the Sydney card.
Well, I think if you look at John McDessie's contract that he posted, that's what
Kevin
had no.
I think
Kevin didn't want to fight.
Yeah, he's like,
Kevin
what?
was
We
he's
get
like,
taxed
no, I'm
how
not
much?
In Australia.
Yeah. I knew the
Kevin's
UFC always had big problems with that in Brazil, because when American fighters fight in Brazil, you get taxed like, I don't know, crazy amount too, like an extra 25% or whatever. So, and the UFC does not cover that. They don't bump up your pay to compensate for those extra taxes. So, yeah. If you're ever wondering why sometimes these overseas cards are kind of weak for pay-per-views, especially, it's follow the money. Fighters are like, nope, not gonna do it. Not because I don't want to. It's just because all of a sudden, no matter what happens, I'm walking away $40,000 less than what I thought it was. So yeah. Holland would fight Shevchenko in 2 weeks' notice.
He would.
Yeah. Yeah, he would. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let's talk about, since we mentioned him, Brunson, I assume.
Thoughts on Brunson release. So, I mean, just so we're clear, this wasn't really a release. This wasn't like, hey, the UFC saying like, hey, you suck, you're done. This is a mutual parting of the ways. And I don't know the full story, but it seems to me from like conversations that I've had that this was like, which I don't blame Derek Brunson and his team at all, but I think they just kind of went to the UFC and they were like, look, I know he's booked to fight Roman Dolidze at UFC 285. That's in November. But like, what else can he do here? He's not going to win a title. He's not going to fight for a belt. He's been around for a while. He's got a name. He's been in some main events. But there's nothing more he can do here. And when I was asked about this on Heck Morning, I said, before I moved to South Carolina, like the area I lived in Massachusetts, it's a small, like cool area. It's like a place you go on vacations and you go skiing and it's mountain areas and you do all this stuff. But one of the reasons why we wanted to move is because like we had done everything we could do in this part of Massachusetts. Like there's nothing more we could do. We had good jobs. We had houses. We did a lot of different things, but like there's nothing more we could do. So it's time to turn the page and do something else. And the UFC was probably like, yeah, man, like you've been good to us. Go ahead. Go do whatever you want. Now we don't have to pay you 6 figures a fight or whatever. And best of luck. They shook hands and probably parted ways. And that's it. So yeah, this reminds me of the Corey Anderson thing. Corey Anderson got knocked out by Jan Blachowicz. He was a win away from fighting for the belt. He knew right there and then he was probably never getting a UFC title shot. So he left and went to Bellator. And the UFC's like, okay, bye. Thanks for playing. Like, we appreciate your service, but you can go. No big deal. And I think that's kind of what happened here as well.
Yeah, Brunson. I bet Brunson's next fight, who knows, being PFL, might be on whatever that.
Yeah, go to PFL.
Is. You might win $1 million.
Go to PFL.
Yeah,
who are the PFL middleweights right now?
I have no idea.
He could go in the Derek Brunson probably. I mean, he'd be in there. I'm sure there's guys that. I don't know.
What was Derek Brunson's last fight? I can't even remember. Who did he lose to?
Was it DDP?
It was DDP, right? He lost.
Yeah, and that fight was fun
That was
until
crazy.
Brunson just kind of ran out of gas.
Yeah, so Brunson lost to a guy that's top 3 his last fight. Like
the guy who probably should be fighting for the belt.
Yeah, the guy who should have been fighting for the belt. Yeah.
Was there not a middleweight season this year for the PFL? Am I crazy?
I don't think so.
There wasn't. There you go. There was no middleweight season.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about that.
Brunson's rep. He's managed by Ali, correct? Is he an Ali guy?
Yes. Corey Anderson was also managed by Ali.
Mm-hmm. Follow the money. Follow the money. Yeah. So
I think it's the right move for everybody. It's the right move for everybody.
I know this is gonna weird people out, but like Derek Brunson could beat Sean Strickland. You know you know what I mean? Sean Strickland he beat Izzy, but Sean Strickland loses other guys too, and Derek Brunson's really good. So like he's still good. He's not. I don't think he was ever gonna beat Izzy, but style wise, he's a good fight. I mean, he's still doing great. So yeah, good on him.
They let Darren Till go.
Yeah. Because those guys get paid.
Who also lost to DDP.
Yeah. Yeah, and now we like these losses to DDP don't look so bad. Like give it time.
No.
In the moment you're like, oh, you lost to this guy, you know. And DDP, you know, it's just maybe not his tired, his exhausted way of fighting, which works, but yeah. Ooh, Darren Till. Darren Till is he's just kind of MIA right now. He's just kind of is he just
him and Mike Perry are trying to like box each other, but I don't think like Misfits would let Mike Perry box anybody because I still don't think Dylan Dennis is going to fight Logan Paul at this point. So I don't know, just all this weirdness going on. How will the Pats do this season? I mean. Mike
from rebuilding year.
It's like a rebuilding. Decade. It's like the second year of a rebuilding 5-year stretch. Look, there were some positives in that Philly game. Like Philly's a pretty damn good team, and I thought the defense played really well. I thought Mac Jones kind of sacked up a little bit after throwing one of the worst pick sixes I've ever seen in my entire life. But if they win 7 games, I will be jubilant. I will jump around in happiness if they win 7 games. But I have no expectations. I just want to see Mac Jones have a better year than his rookie year. See how Zeke does. There's some things that I'm curious about, but I do not have high hopes for the Patriots this year.
Oh, this is interesting. Interesting question.
The UFC's waiting. Is the UFC waiting for tonight's Alexa versus Valentina fight to book the UFC Women's Bantamweight title fight?
It's odd, right?
That is kind of interesting, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah. It's more. Yeah.
I would assume no.
But who?
Because it's gonna be. You got 2 obvious fighters with a story. It makes sense to just do Juliana and Raquel, but it's just a matter of like where to put it.
Put it on a card
because
like
that
this,
fight,
like these like a good fight night card, and headline it with that. You know, I don't know. It's just like
why not? But I don't think so. But
it's weird, right? The way the UFC is not handling. I mean, not even acknowledging, or I don't know. Like we're just.
I think they're acknowledging it, but it's just nowhere to put. Like, is it going to be? Yeah, is it? I mean, there's rumblings about multiple fight night cards now. Like some people are saying Orlando is a spot. Minneapolis was a thing a little while ago that Dana, and which I was told Minneapolis is a possibility as well. Dana, I think, recently shut that down. Now there's talks about possibly going back to China before the end of the year. And if that's the case, that's probably going to be Zhang versus Yan. I think December 9th. I think December 9th they're targeting China. At least that's what reports are saying. This I do not know for sure right now.
And that would be
I've heard Atlantic.
Be a fight night.
Yeah,
I assume, right?
I would. That will not be a pay-per-view.
Okay. Which is great. I love it. Yeah.
I've heard Atlantic City. That was reported as well. I had heard rumblings about Atlantic City, but again, things change very quickly. And after Zhang Wei Li beat Amanda Lemos, I think the UFC was like, all right, dude, we got to get to China and do this Zhang versus John fight, and I think that's probably what they're going to try to do. So, yeah, as far as the bantamweight, without knowing what the hell's going to happen in December, it's hard to place this anywhere because this is a third title fight on a pay-per-view, right? This is not this probably isn't even a co-main event at this point. This is like a third title fight. Like if they put Leon and Colby at MSG, like this could be the first of 3 title fights, the bantamweight fight. I don't think that's a bad idea. If it's December to make up,
you mean a triple main event?
Triple main event. Triple main event. And maybe we get Sean Strickland fighting in December. Maybe we get O'Malley, Cheeto. We get the 2 Seans, and then we could throw that on there. Another triple main event possibility. So.
Oh no, sorry. Is it true?
What?
Is it Buffer? Is it Buffer, not Joe Martinez tonight?
Is it Buffer? I'm looking right now.
Oh, come on, UFC. That was my biggest thing. It better be Joe Martinez being the in-ring announcer.
Yeah, it probably should have been Joe.
God,
love the Buff man, but
no, but this is the time that Joe Martinez.
This is Joe.
This is Joe Martinez. Like, dang it.
Maybe they'll bring in Joe. Look, maybe they'll bring in Joe for the main card. Maybe they're saving him for the main card.
You're so positive. I love it. You're so positive.
Double main event. 2 ring announcers. Let's go. All right.
Ooh, I like that idea. I like that idea. Yeah,
I like it too.
They do.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Joe Martinez. That'd be incredible.
Where if they do that?
There's like nobody in the building.
They'll do that in Japan when AEW had their Forbidden Door with New Japan. They would have a Japanese ring announcer and then the American ring announcer. It was really cool. But
yeah, that is pretty cool. Bonuses? Any bonus predictions?
Bonuses. I'm going Rosas Jr. for performance bonus. Zell Huber with a performance bonus. And fight of the night going to...
Just say the main event. I know you're going to say the main event.
Oh, Kevin Holland and Jack Della Maddalena.
I made some bold predictions on the preview show. Poor Mardik Man is about to get iced, I think. I will go... Yeah, I feel like Rosas will get one if he gets a finish, even though he's like a minus 14,000 favorite. This is gonna be a multi-performance bonus card. So I'm gonna go Rosas, Zell Huber.
So we're tied on that one.
Loopy.
Yeah. With a
and
finish.
Alex Reyes. Loopy's gonna get I have Loopy getting a finish tonight, and I'm going with Alex Reyes because, as I said in the preview show, he gonna get 10-8'd in the first round. Then he's gonna knock the rust off, and then he's gonna get this like incredible, wow, what a heart-grabbing moment from Alex Reyes 6 years to the day from his last fight, after not being able to, didn't even know if he'd be able to walk again. Takes a little bit of a beating, and just comes back at 36 years of age and just lands this ferocious comeback knockout. So there you go.
More importantly, what happens in the Daniel Lacerda fight? He is 0-4 in the UFC.
He's probably going to be 0-5.
0-5. I think.
Who's he fighting? He's. I'm trying to remember who he's fighting.
Is he gonna get finished?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Wow. 0-5 UFC and finish.
Oh, Edgar Chairez. Yeah. Edgar Chairez. Yeah, he's gonna get finished by Edgar Chairez. Second round submission I have for Edgar Chairez.
Wow.
I mean, look, if you're a better, go ahead and bet on Lacerda.
For the under?
This is the what's his name? Oh God, what's his name? Who's why can't I think of his name? Who's the dude that like he has the best topology picture? He's like Mr. Finland. Always won the first round, but never
Markwani?
Yes, Markwani or Mirkani. That's what
Mirkani. Mirkani.
treat Lacerda like Makwan Amirkhani. Bet on Lacerda, but if the fight gets out of the first round, then live bet the crap out of the other guy. That's how you should handle this.
Just
That's how you
have your page open, like you're ready to, as soon as that first round ends.
Be ready to go. And then just unload the clip on the live odds once you get out of round one, because that story ain't going to change. All right, real quick, main card predictions. Fernando Padilla taking on Kyle Nelson. What do we think, Casey?
I'm going Padilla, decision victory.
If I was betting, I would bet on Kyle Nelson for sure, because I think this should be lined a little bit closer. But I'm not picking this fight from that end, so I'm picking Fernando Padilla, third round TKO. But a fun fight up until then. Does Daniel Zellhuber get his first UFC finish tonight?
Yes, he will, because he is the best Mexican prospect, as we discovered earlier. And he will knock out Mr. How do you say his name? Christos
Giagos.
Second round KO on his way to a performance bonus.
I have the same. Are you picking Terrence Mitchell?
I am not. I am picking Rosas Jr. by submission, round 2. He'll dominate the whole fight, but he will not gas himself out. He will learn from his mistakes in his last fight, and he will finish the fight in the second round over Mr. Mitchell.
First round knockout or TK. It's going to be a ground and pound TKO.
TKO.
Terrence Mitchell's actually very good Terrence Mitchell's pretty good on the ground. Incredibly underrated, if we're being honest. Mm-hmm. So honestly, I think Rosas is the better top position grappler for sure. And I think if he gets on top, he's going to be able to stay there. But I think he's going to have a hard time submitting Terrence Mitchell. And because of what he learned from his last fight, I think he will just go ahead and punch him in the face instead. If he can't get the submission, just throw a bunch of punches and elbows till you get him out of there. Jack Della Maddalena versus...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, does Mitchell... Does he live and train out of Alaska? Is he still...
I don't think so.
Oh, no? Okay. So I'm looking at all this... I don't know if he changed camps. I mean, all his previous UFC fights were all in Alaska. So I'm just kind of curious. I was wondering...
Well, up until the last one.
What, his last fight he lost? What do you mean?
What do you fight, Cameron Simon?
No, but pre-UFC, everything, like, he seemed to all his...
I think he was originally... Yeah, I think he... Yeah, I don't know if he trains. That's a good question.
I just kind of wondering. I was wondering if is he the only Alaskan-trained fighter in the UFC? Just kind of
Lauren Murphy started in Alaska. Jared Cannonier started in Alaska.
Well, currently, like... I know they trained in Alaska and lived there for a while. I'm just kind of curious. Are there any current UFC fighters?
I'll look into it. I will look into it.
From camps from Alaska. Just kind of curious. More just curiosity.
I'll look into it.
Man, UFC Alaska fight night card would be super awesome though. That's the thing I would be interested in, because there seems to be a lot of regional MMA in Alaska. I don't understand why we've never had a Bellator event or a UFC.
He does train in Alaska.
Oh, neat.
Looking at a photo from July 12th, Terrence Mitchell, awesome having special guest and top-ranked UFC middleweight Jared Cannonier back in Alaska. How about that? Yeah, so he's still training in Alaska. How about that? Absolutely right. Well done, Casey. It might be a long flight back to Alaska for Terrence Mitchell after this fight. Kevin Holland versus JDM. Let's get the betting lines here. Oh, the lines have closed to tighten up a little bit. JDM minus 125. Come back on Kevin Holland plus 105. What do we got?
I'm going Kevin Holland decision in a close fun fight.
I'm picking JDM by decision, but boy, am I not confident. Not fully confident. That fight could go either way. I'm really looking forward to it. And then finally, the main event, Alexa Grasso, the plus 136 underdog this time around as the champion. The challenger, former champ Valentina Shevchenko, the minus 162 favorite. Who wins?
And still Alexa Grasso by unanimous decision. I think she wins 4 rounds to 1.
I went Alexa Grasso 5th round submission on the preview show. And
you had a story to tell. You had the whole fight laid out and everything. It was good.
I'm going with the gut. Sometimes we go on these journeys. I'm more often right than wrong. When I just say like, yeah, I think Izzy's going to win. I don't see how Sean can win. That's not really a journey. That's just how I feel. That's just going off my brain. But when I go with the gut, when I let the gut do the talking, and we go on journeys and we get real specific up in here. So be pretty wild if that happens. So hit the music. We're done. If you're watching and you're wondering what the hell's going on, oh, yeah, all right. Josephine Knudsen is just putting the wood to poor Marnik Man. Wasn't quite a 10-8 round. Marnik Man looks like she's having a good time, but she is not really doing anything in this fight. So this fight's going exactly the way we thought. So Jose Youngs, the great Jose Youngs, as he should be. Very excited. He's been talking about this card for a minute. He is in Las Vegas, so he'll have your post-fight interviews. We will have a post-fight show and the post-fight press conference going down at the same time.
Simulcast.
We're doing both of them. So you get to pick you can pick and choose. Do you want to do the press conference? Do you want to do the post-fight show? Maybe Dana speaks, and then you don't want to hear from anybody else. You can hop on over. We're giving you options, my friends, and that'll be after the show. So thank you so much. Oh, boy. Marnik Man did not like that right hand. This fight ain't going to the cards, my friend. I don't think it's going to the cards. So enjoy, everybody. I think we're going to get a finish. Oh, Marnik Man's smiling. Oh. Okay. Right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Adios.
Oh, man.
Hasta luego.